What is up, guys? Del Boy here. So Bryant Jennings versus Joey Dawejko has been announced for the 28th of April. Since the loss to Luis Ortiz back in December 2015, Bryant Jennings had a long stretch of inactivity. He had about, over a year and a half out of the ring after that defeat. He came back August 2017 and he beat Daniel Martz. After that, he's also fought in December 2017 against Don Hainsworth, and also he recently fought in February against Akor Muralimov. So in other words, since he's made his comeback, he's not fought good competition, and I don't really have a big issue with it right now, because ultimately he did have a long stretch out of a ring, and it's better to stay active and fight somebody rather than sit around again and wait for a big fight to come to you. So it's good that Bryant Jennings is staying active, and I feel the Joey Dawejko fight, although it's not like a top level fight, it's a much better fight than the competition he's been facing since his comeback. Joey Dawejko is the type of guy who, he's a good gatekeeper slash high level journeyman. He does have some defensive skills. He's tricky, he's awkward. He's a short heavyweight at 5'10", but he is awkward. He's good on the inside. He can roll with shots, and he's fought good competition, to be fair to him. I recall him fighting Amir Mansour back in 2015, I believe, and he gave Mansour some issues with his defense. And he fought Derek Rossi. He beat Derek Rossi. He took Jarrell Miller to a draw really early in Miller's career. So he does have one or two names on the resume at a decent level, and from what I see from Dawejko, he's a good high-level journeyman. That's how I would describe Joey Dawejko. And also, he reminds me of he looks like a very good sparring partner type fighter. He's that type of fighter. You know, he's got a lot of tricks, a lot of a lot of good skills there that he can utilise to survive and make it tough for his opponent. So I feel overall this is definitely a step up in competition since Bryant Jennings' comeback, and I feel it's going to be a fight where it's going to give Bryant Jennings some rounds, because ultimately since his comeback all of his fights have resulted in early stoppages. So I feel Joey Dawejko will definitely give Bryant Jennings a few rounds, and that's probably something he needs right now before he makes a step up to a higher level, you know. Also, what I like about this fight, both guys are good on the inside. I feel Bryant Jennings is really active on the inside. That's where he does his best work. We saw that against Mike Perez, and even to a lesser extent against Vladimir Klitschko. Bryant Jennings is quite handy on the inside, and in this fight against Dawejko, that could result in a good fight, because Dawejko, to me, as a shorter heavyweight, obviously he is better on the inside. He's got short arms, and he's nice and compact, and he is good on the inside. So stylistically, this fight could gel quite well. Also, another little side factor, both guys are from Philadelphia, so you know these guys are going to be battling for bragging rights. Overall, I think this is a good bit of matchmaking from Bob Arum. You have a fight taking place in Philadelphia between two local fighters, so that should gel for some good action. And I feel it's the type of fight Bryant Jennings needs before he steps up to the next level. Does Joey Dawejko have a chance? Possibly, but I do feel Bryant Jennings will have a bit too much for him. He's stronger, he's bigger. I feel overall he's a more skilled fighter. You know, I feel Joey Dawejko, like I mentioned earlier, he's kind of slipped into that journeyman type mentality. You know, he's that type of fighter, and that's not meant as a disservice to him, because he has some good skills, but you know, he's a short heavyweight. He's not active enough with his hands. I feel overall he's either gonna get outpointed or stopped late by Bryant Jennings. But it's a good little fight in my opinion. After this fight, I would like to see Bryant Jennings take a step up and go back to the level of competition he was facing previously. You know, he's fought guys like Vladimir Klitschko. He's fought Luis Ortiz. He fought Mike Perez, Arthur Spielka. You know, he's been in there with some good level of competition. Andre Fedosov was another good win for Bryant Jennings, you know. They are the type of fights I want to see Bryant Jennings in after this Dawejko fight, because it's a fight I expect him to win. After this fight, I wouldn't mind seeing Bryant Jennings in there with the likes of Dillian White, Dominic Brazil, you know, even guys like Charles Martin, Big Baby Miller, providing Miller beats Duhaupas. You know, they're the type of fights I want to see. Bryant Jennings in. There are some good fights for him. You know, Bryant Jennings versus Kubrat Pulev, good fight. Bryant Jennings versus the loser of Joseph Parker and Anthony Joshua, I think that'd be a good fight. You know, there are fights out there for Bryant Jennings, so he needs to look good in this fight and get a win. But yeah, I think it's a good bit of matchmaking from Bob Arum. You know, Bryant Jennings has had his comeback fights. He's shaken the ring rust. Now he just needs a few rounds, and then he can get back to the upper echelon of the heavyweight division. I don't think Bryant Jennings is ever going to be a world champion. However, I do like watching him as a fighter. I enjoyed his fights with Mike Perez and Arthur Spilka, and even in defeats to Vladimir Klitschko and Luis Ortiz, he gave it a good go. I do like Bryant Jennings. I think he's a solid B- level fighter. But yeah, I am interested. Since he's come back, I think he's looked good against the journeyman he's been fighting, but obviously it is a bit higher level than he's been fighting at so far. So yeah, I'll be interested to see where he's at right now. What do you guys think of this fight? Peace.